Nothing escalates our curiosity quite like the mysterious behaviors of our canine companions. Those moments when your dog suddenly barks at seemingly nothing, or stares intently at an empty corner of the room. But what if I told you they're not reacting to nothing at all? Dogs possess extraordinary sensory abilities that allow them to perceive aspects of our world that remain completely invisible to humans. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating realm of canine perception to uncover 13 mind-blowing things your dog can see and hear that you can't. Understanding these unique abilities not only explains your dog's sometimes puzzling behavior but also gives you a glimpse into their rich sensory world. And trust me, the final ability we'll discuss might just send shivers down your spine. But before we jump in, tap that like button and subscribe. It really helps us out and keeps you updated on all things dog. Let's start with something truly remarkable. Dogs can actually sense the Earth's magnetic field. Scientists have discovered that dogs possess magnetoreception, the ability to detect the Earth's magnetic field, likely through specialized cells in their eyes or noses. This explains why dogs often spin in circles before settling down to do their business. They're not being fussy, they're actually aligning themselves along the north-south axis. A study published in Frontiers in Zoology observed over 70 dogs from 37 different breeds and found this north-south alignment was consistent when the magnetic field was stable. This built-in compass might also explain how some lost dogs can find their way home over incredible distances. Next time your dog seems to be taking forever to find the perfect spot, they might just be tuning into planetary forces you can't perceive. Moving on to vision, dogs see the world in a completely different light, quite literally. While humans can only see visible light, dogs can actually perceive ultraviolet light. Their eyes lack the UV filters that human eyes have, allowing them to see a spectrum of light that's completely invisible to us. This means they can spot things like urine trails that glow under UV light or detect certain patterns on flowers that guide pollinators. Some animals use UV reflective markings as communication signals, which dogs can see clearly while we remain oblivious. This ability likely evolved to help their wild ancestors track prey more effectively. So, when your dog seems fascinated by a seemingly ordinary patch of grass, they might be observing a glowing UV trail left by another animal. Dogs also possess superior night vision compared to humans. While we struggle to see in low light, dogs have a special reflective layer behind their retina called the tapetum lucidum. This layer acts like a mirror, reflecting light back through the retina a second time, giving the photoreceptors another chance to detect it. This is why dogs' eyes seem to glow in the dark when light hits them. Additionally, dogs have more rod cells in their retinas, which are specialized for detecting motion and working in dim light. So, while you might be fumbling around during a power outage, your dog is navigating the house with relative ease. Their night vision is estimated to be about 5 times better than ours, making the darkness much less mysterious to them than it is to us. When it comes to hearing, dogs exist in an acoustic world far richer than our own. The human hearing range tops out at about 20,000 Hz, but dogs can hear frequencies up to 65,000 Hz. This ultrasonic hearing allows them to detect high-pitched sounds that are completely silent to us. They can hear the ultrasonic squeaks of small rodents, the high-frequency chirps of certain insects, and even the electronic hum of devices like televisions and computer monitors. This explains why your dog might suddenly perk up their ears when you hear absolutely nothing. They're not hallucinating, they're tuning into sounds beyond your auditory capabilities. This ability made them excellent hunters in the wild, able to locate small prey by sound alone. It also explains why dogs often react negatively to certain electronic devices or why they might become anxious before storms. They can hear the high-frequency sounds of thunder long before we can. Dogs can also detect infrasound, sound waves with frequencies below the human hearing threshold of 20 Hz. These low-frequency vibrations can travel over vast distances and through solid objects. This remarkable ability allows dogs to sense approaching storms, earthquakes, or tsunamis long before any human instruments detect them. There are numerous accounts of dogs exhibiting strange behavior minutes or even hours before natural disasters strike. They might become agitated, bark excessively, or try to lead their owners outside to safety. This isn't some mystical sixth sense. It's their ability to hear the infrasonic rumbles produced by these events as they begin to develop miles away. Some search and rescue dogs are specifically trained to use this ability to locate avalanche victims or people trapped under collapsed buildings. Another fascinating aspect of canine perception is their ability to detect subtle changes in air pressure and atmospheric conditions. Their sensitive ears can pick up on barometric pressure drops that precede storms, often explaining why your dog might become anxious or seek shelter before a storm arrives. They can also detect subtle air currents and temperature gradients that humans simply can't perceive. This heightened sensitivity to environmental changes served as an early warning system for their wild ancestors, allowing them to seek shelter before dangerous weather arrived. So when your dog suddenly becomes clingy or nervous on what seems like a perfectly clear day, they might be sensing an approaching weather system long before your weather app sends you an alert. Dogs also possess an extraordinary ability to detect subtle body movements and micro-expressions that humans typically miss. Their eyes are specially tuned to detect motion, with dedicated neural pathways that process movement information much faster than our brains do. This is why dogs excel at catching thrown objects or responding instantly to the slightest hand gesture. They can detect the almost imperceptible muscle tensions that precede your movements, sometimes seeming to know what you're going to do before you do it. This ability makes them excellent at reading human body language and anticipating our actions. Service dogs use this skill to detect subtle changes in their owner's posture or movement that might indicate an oncoming seizure or medical emergency. So when your dog seems to be reading your mind, they're actually reading your body with incredible precision. The canine sense of smell deserves special attention, as it truly operates on a different level than human olfaction. Dogs have up to 300 million olfactory receptors compared to our mere 6 million, and the part of their brain dedicated to analyzing smells is proportionally 40 times larger than ours. This gives them the ability to detect odors at concentrations up to 100,000 times lower than what humans can perceive. They can smell individual components of complex odors, similar to how we might hear individual instruments in an orchestra. This explains why dogs can detect diseases like cancer, diabetes, or COVID-19 by smelling changes in human body chemistry that are completely undetectable to us. They can also smell human emotions through the chemical signals our bodies release when we're afraid, anxious, or happy. So when your dog suddenly becomes protective or comforting for seemingly no reason, they might be responding to emotional cues you're giving off without even realizing it. Dogs also possess a remarkable ability to sense electric fields. While not as developed as in some aquatic animals, dogs can detect the subtle electrical changes that occur in their environment. This might explain why some dogs become anxious during thunderstorms even before any thunder is audible. They're sensing the buildup of electrical charge in the atmosphere. They may also be able to detect the subtle electrical fields generated by electronic devices or even the human nervous system. Some service dogs are trained to alert their owners to oncoming migraines or seizures, possibly by detecting changes in their electrical brain activity before symptoms become apparent. This sensitivity might also explain why some dogs seem to know when their owners are about to return home, even when they arrive at unpredictable times. They might be sensing familiar electrical patterns associated with their human's presence. Another fascinating aspect of canine perception is their ability to see in a different color spectrum than humans. While it's a myth that dogs see only in black and white, their color vision is dichromatic rather than trichromatic like ours. This means they primarily see blues and yellows, with reds and greens appearing as shades of gray. However, what they lack in color perception, they make up for in other visual abilities. Their eyes are more sensitive to movement and light changes, allowing them to detect subtle visual cues that humans might miss. They can also see flickering light at higher frequencies than humans can, which is why dogs can sometimes see the flicker of older televisions or fluorescent lights that appear solid to us. This different visual processing explains why your dog might be completely uninterested in that bright red toy you bought them. To them, it doesn't stand out from the green grass at all. Dogs also possess an uncanny ability to sense time passing and anticipate regular events. While they don't conceptualize time the same way humans do with clocks and calendars, they have an internal chronometer that's remarkably accurate. This is why your dog might start getting excited for their walk at the same time every day, even if you haven't given any indication it's walk time. They can detect subtle environmental cues like changing light patterns, neighborhood sounds, or even your own unconscious pre-walk behaviors. Some dogs even seem able to predict when their owners will return home, waiting by the door at the appropriate time. This temporal awareness likely evolved to help their ancestors coordinate hunting activities and anticipate the movements of prey animals. So when your dog starts pestering you for dinner at exactly 6 p.m., they're not reading the clock. They're reading a complex pattern of environmental and behavioral cues that you might not even be aware of. Perhaps most intriguing is dogs' apparent ability to sense what many would call supernatural phenomena. Countless dog owners report their pets growling at empty spaces, following invisible entities with their eyes, or refusing to enter certain rooms. While skeptics might attribute this to dogs reacting to mundane stimuli humans don't notice, many believe dogs can sense spirits or energies beyond our perception. From a scientific perspective, dogs might be detecting subtle environmental changes like electromagnetic fluctuations, infrasound, or air movement patterns associated with what we interpret as paranormal activity. Some cultures have long believed dogs serve as guardians against malevolent spirits, able to see between the worlds of the living and dead. Whether you believe in the supernatural or not, when your dog suddenly freezes and stares intently at an empty corner with raised hackles, it's hard not to wonder what they might be perceiving that you cannot. Finally, dogs possess an extraordinary ability to sense human illness and disease, often before medical tests can detect them. Their incredible olfactory capabilities allow them to detect minute changes in human body chemistry associated with various medical conditions. There are numerous documented cases of dogs persistently sniffing or pawing at a specific area of their owner's body, which later turned out to contain cancerous cells. Medical detection dogs can be trained to alert diabetics to dangerous blood sugar levels or warn epilepsy patients of oncoming seizures. Some dogs have even been trained to detect COVID-19 infections with remarkable accuracy. This ability isn't limited to physical ailments. Dogs can also sense psychological states, often providing comfort during panic attacks or episodes of depression. So when your dog becomes unusually attentive or protective, they might be responding to subtle changes in your health that even you aren't aware of yet. Understanding these extraordinary canine perceptual abilities gives us a glimpse into the rich sensory world our dogs inhabit. It explains many of their seemingly strange behaviors and reminds us that they're not just reacting to the same reality we experience. They're perceiving aspects of our world that remain completely invisible to us. Next time your dog barks at nothing, or seems anxious for no reason, remember that they might be responding to something very real in their perceptual world, even if it's beyond the reach of your human senses. So, which of these canine superpowers surprised you the most? Have you ever witnessed your dog reacting to something you couldn't perceive? Share your experiences in the comments below. And if you found this exploration of canine perception fascinating, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more insights into the extraordinary world of dogs. Until next time, remember that your furry friend isn't just your companion, they're your window into a world of senses beyond human perception.